What is good, YouTube? Warstu here. So, we know Marvel Phase 4 is looking pretty big now. In 2021, there is 4 Marvel Cinematic Universe movies alone. Shang-Chi, Doctor Strange 2, Spider-Man 3, Thor 4. So, what is interesting is Phase 4 starts with Natasha Romanoff, Scarlett Johansson, who is playing Black Widow. Now, why is Phase 4 starting with a prequel movie? Just sit on that. So we know with any kind of comic book story, comic book logic apply. Now, there's been a theory going around the internet ever since EndGame ended that Natasha Romanoff, Black Widow, is coming back. Robert Downey Jr., Iron Man, is coming back to play Iron Man once again. There's endless Reddit theories absolutely everywhere about both of these characters coming back. But we know Robert Downey Jr. isn't really going to be coming back because he is periodically said in multiple interviews that he's done. He's dusted. Yet everyone wants to talk about him coming back as the artificial intelligence inside Riri Williams' Ironheart suit. Well, if that is possible, then Black Widow could be resurrected. Or did she even die in the first place? Now, what is interesting is Bruce Banner, aka Hulk, tried to bring Natasha back, but he wasn't powerful enough. But he didn't die. Now, he didn't die. This is the key factor to this argument. He didn't die. But wait, Iron Man died when he did his finger snap. Now, the laws of the Soul Stone are that complicated that the screenwriters Stephen McFeely and Christopher Marcus and the directors Joe Russo, Anthony Russo, and the head of Marvel Studios, Kevin Feige, can't even agree with a lot of the plot holes in EndGame. So what really happens? Is it really a soul for a soul? Because realistically, when Captain America went back in time to replace and put the Soul Stone back and give it back to Red Skull, but he wouldn't really be there because the Soul Stone wouldn't be there. He couldn't just give it back. It's a soul for a soul. So there's a big conspiracy theory that when Tony Stark did the snap, that somehow it brought Natasha Romanoff back. Now, I'm not saying it's true, but I am saying it's possible. So, courtesy of GeekVibesNation.com, we've got some set photos from the Black Widow movie that are coming out of Norway. And there's one in particular that I'm going to show you guys over the screen right now that has Natasha in some kind of water, you know, and there's some kind of glowing object around her arm. Now, I'm not saying this is some kind of soul stone or something like that, but it is very interesting. Now, if Marvel was to reintroduce Black Widow, it would make sense to me, and it would make sense to a lot of other people that watch my channel. Why? Because everyone's talking about Captain America coming back, you know? Iron Man coming back, you know? But why can't Black Widow come back when she's the only one out of them 3 names I just listed that has their own movie coming? And it is the first movie in Phase 4. Yes, I know this movie is supposed to be set in between 2016 and 2018 when Infinity War started. And we know that Robert Downey Jr. has a cameo role in this movie, kind of. So, rumoredly, he is supposed to go tell Natasha, aka Black Widow, to run because obviously she didn't sign the Sokovia Code. So, she obviously is a fugitive, so he tells her to run. But do you really think that's the only thing that's happening? It has been reported that Robert Downey Jr. cost £10 million for his supporting role in Spider-Man Homecoming. But let's be honest, guys, it wasn't really a supporting role. He was like literally over all the promotional material. So why is Robert Downey Jr. being linked to being back in the MCU so soon with the Black Widow project? Could the deleted scene that we never got to see from EndGame really be a scene when Natasha wakes up and we realize that Tony Stark has somehow come up with a deal with someone to take his life instead of her life? A soul for a soul. Now, there is rumors that the Celestials, the Eternals, are going to have something to do with the origin story for Vormir. Now, Nebula did mention something that could hint at Vormir having the power and the rules of the Soul Stone world having something to do with the Celestials, the Eternals, that we are going to meet in the movie that comes out pretty soon, that will incorporate, obviously, actors like Angelina Jolie, Richard Madden, etc. So that is going to be very interesting. So this is a theory based on facts that have already been out there for a very long time. I'm not really telling you anything that you couldn't already find out about things yourself, because a lot of theories about Black Widow have already circled the internet dating back before EndGame even came out. There's a theory on Reddit 5 months ago that says, I believe Black Widow from the main MCU timeline is still alive. However, I feel this creates an interesting paradox for the MCU, and obviously with the multiverse, anything is possible. Now, we're briefly going to go over this. As the Ancient One explained in EndGame, if you remove a stone from a point in time, you will create a new timeline. Hence the response from Bruce Banner saying something to the effect of, we will return the stone after we use it. Fast forward to the end of the film where Steve Rogers was supposed to return the stone to the point in time where they were taken. You can clearly see the Soul Stone in the box with the other stones, as Steve is supposed to return the stones but not travel back to the present day of the film. We assume it was returned back to Vormir, although I did my own audio commentary, that was never confirmed or denied. This raises an interesting issue regarding the return of the stone, as you can't just go back and give it from where it was found. Like I said previously, in order to return the stone in the time it was granted to Ronin or Hawkeye, the sacrifice would have been circumvented, so that the stone is never given to Ronin and Hawkeye, and thus Black Widow from the same timeline would still be alive. She would just need to use the quantum suit to go back to the main MCU timeline. The only other way that it could have been returned was if Steve Rogers bargained with death with the exchange of the Soul Stone soul that was offered for Black Widow. This also begs the question if Steve Rogers encounters Red Skull on Vormir, since he would have had to stop both of Ronin and Black Widow from jumping off the platform. Now, we do know there was a deleted scene that was meant to be on the kind of Blu-ray that came out, but we never got to see it. So what if all this happens on the Blu-ray? What happens if we see the snap, Tony Stark goes to the orange place, the Soul World, where he was supposed to see a grown-up variation of his daughter, where she says, I forgive you. But what happens if for a split second or a split moment, you were going to see Black Widow waking up, and realistically, she's awake in the current day, but she's stuck because she can't get back to the main MCU timeline. Now, this is just a theory, guys, and I don't expect anyone to agree with me, and I don't expect anyone to think it's right. But the Black Widow movie is the next movie coming out in the MCU, so we should all be focusing on the Black Widow movie and not focusing on what is happening with Spider-Man movie, because the Spider-Man movie does not come out to 2021, right? We've got to get the Black Widow movie first. But why would they kick it off? Yes, we understand, guys. We understand there's going to be a lot of background knowledge that we don't know about Black Widow, and obviously it is going to be very interesting, very, very interesting. I can't wait to see it. Yes, we understand the Eternals movie is going to introduce a lot of things that we don't know, because that's hundreds of thousands of years before. That's not what we're on about. And also we know that Black Knight, etc. will be alive in the current day. So it's going to be very interesting to find out more about the MCU, because we think we know a lot, but Kevin Feige has literally said to us that we don't know as much detail as we think we do. Prequel movies are good, but I just believe that if everyone thinks Iron Man is still alive, he's somehow going to come back, then A Soul for a Soul, Scarlett Johansson's variation of Natasha Romanoff, of Black Widow, of the best Black Widow agent there has ever been, I believe she could return. And I've given some evidence that suggests how she returns, why, or if she was even killed in the first place. You know, a soul for a soul. Everything was reverted from Infinity War pretty much. So could we revert everything that happened in EndGame, including Black Widow not dying? Yes, we could. But is that a way Marvel are going to go? Are they going to go backwards rather than going forward? I don't know the answer to this. This is just an idea that I've wanted to put out there, and there is ample evidence staring us in the face. Also, you've got to look at her hair. A lot of people online, there's a lot of articles inferring to her hair, and that is the main reason why she could come back. Now, another article that I was reading said this: finally, there are more questions raised by the Black Widow death in the first place. Red Skull says claimants for the Soul Stone have to give us something they love, but Hawkeye doesn't sacrifice Black Widow the way Thanos sacrificed Gamora. Black Widow willingly jumped and Hawkeye fights her all the way. That does not follow the standard rules at all, does it? No. It can't be one way and another way. There's one set rule that was set out in this movie, although there are a lot of plot holes. And maybe that will make a difference in how her future plays out. It's not much to go on, but it's a possibility her noble death meant something in the long run. And maybe the deleted scene, they're holding it for the Black Widow movie, and maybe that is how she could be key to bringing back her own life. That's a bigger stretch. That's even likely theories, cloning, consciousness, transfer, given that Red Skull flat out said her death is irreversible and Hulk couldn't bring her back, even with time reversing and reality bending powers of the Infinity Gauntlet. So a time travel solution still seems more than likely, seeing as that was the vocal point. But that would be a frustrating echo of what happened with Gamora, just as Natasha's death was a frustrating echo of Gamora's more emotionally rancid murder. If Natasha also came back earlier, less developed version of herself, it feels like retreating Gamora's current plotline. But it's still something. Give the other Avengers a goal to rally behind in the next sequel, and early Avengers films where the characters were just getting to know each other had the most fun, interactions and casual banter. So it could be a really enjoyable trip to go down. As it is now, EndGame leaves Black Widow's story in a sublimely unsatisfying place. Natasha Romanoff was just getting to become the Avengers, the makeshift leader, whilst Captain America was off attending a veteran support group. Her reunion with Hawkeye demonstrated how far she's come over the course of the past decade of films. Even so, she never got the spotlight, whilst all the other Avengers pretty much did. She only fared a little bit better than Hawkeye. Not disappointing from the Avengers film altogether, but maintaining minimal presence at best. She deserves the comeback of her own film, but more importantly, she deserves to somehow be resurrected. So guys, like always, this is just a theory. I've searched the internet for ideas of how Black Widow could come back, and the one that makes the most sense to me is Tony Stark did bring her back during the snap. We just don't know about it. That is why they're keeping everything under wraps, and that is why there's a deleted scene that we never got to see. I do not believe this scene where he went into the soul world is just about his daughter. But like always, guys, please like, subscribe, and comment, and I'll catch you in another video very soon. And check out warstu.com. It'd be much appreciated, and I will catch you in our next video very soon. Catch you later.